Everyone always complains about not liking where they are in life currently. They don't like their job or they don't like their friends and they're just unhappy. In order to change your environment, you have to change within yourself. And this is going to make your new environment. So you can shape your own environment by changing yourself. It all starts within yourself. You need to start making things that are going to change how you feel. Our society has made it so that you can never truly be happy. You don't feel as though even when you are happy, something's always missing. The only way you can truly be happy is when you change your environment, and that starts within yourself. So, changing your friends, changing your partner, something that keeps you down. But you need to be able to understand that these are the things that shape your environment. It's very important who you hang out with. People who think the same way as you, they will bring you up. You should have people who bring you up and make you feel good. Even though, of course, it's very hard to cut off friendships or cut off relationships that have been around for a long time or have had a huge impact in your life. But there needs to be a point where you really realize that these people are actually bringing you down and they are not there to see you succeed. So I'm not going to talk specifically about friendships, but this can go for so many different things. If you are unhappy and you know that your job is bringing you unhappiness, why are you still working there? Go find something else. And you may think that's impossible. I cannot find. You can always. There is a choice that you are making. You're choosing to stay in that environment. You are choosing to stay there. If you know that you would be happier living perhaps somewhere else, you need to do things in order to do that. Usually, though, that is just an escape mechanism. I have felt that way so many times where I felt that I wanted to live abroad and wanted something else. Of course, wanting to experience new cultures and living somewhere else is completely normal and a part of life and way of living. But if you want to live somewhere else because you are not happy where you are currently, that has a lot to do with other things. It starts here. So, for example, when I have felt this way that I wanted to move somewhere else, it was because I didn't have enough friends here. I felt unhappy in my school. I felt unhappy in my college. I didn't like what I was doing basically. So it was not really the problem of where I was, but it was the problem of what I was doing here. And it actually made me reflect on when I literally last year when I still went to high school here, and all my friends they lived here. We all lived here, and I was still happy here. I never had a problem. I had other problems, but I never had a problem with my city where I was living. So it just goes to show that all the problems really come within yourself. So now what I've done is I've removed myself from studying a degree which I had honestly no interest in, but because it is normal for somebody to finish high school and then go study something, I went to go study English because that is something that I was good at. But honestly, I knew that I would never want to pursue this in my future job. This was just something because society teaches us that it's normal to just go from one school to another, and this is more socially accepted than if you just figure out who you are and what you want to do. I felt pressure to go into this route. But now I remove myself from it because I realized that I was wasting my time studying these books, learning things that I had no interest in. There needs to be some sort of motivation for myself. And I was just unhappy where I was studying. I kept dreaming of going somewhere else. I kept dreaming of studying something else. And the first thing I needed to do was remove myself from it. This was a very difficult process. These decisions, these choices are never easy. They're never simple, but they are going to improve your life. I talked about how fears implement everything that we do. And this is the biggest fear of all time, is making a big change. removing yourself from things that are toxic, negative. This is very difficult. Whether that is your household or your job or whatever, you need to change it if that is what's making you unhappy. Of course, like I said before, moving somewhere could be a wanting for escape, but it could also be actually that environment that's really impacting you. So, of course, then you need to figure out how you're going to remove yourself from that. So, in my case, I'm now completely focusing on things that I want to do. So, for me, that is singing music and this, talking about things like this. So, instead of now focusing all my attention on something that I had no interest in, which was English. The thing is, I had interest. I had a passion for writing. I really loved writing. I love poetry and I love books. I love the English language, but when you go into specifics and how it was taught in my school, that is then when my motivation just kind of went downhill, because I'm not going to go into specifics now, but the way that it was being taught in my school, I just thought it was so draining, so negative. I had, you would have classes until 8 sometimes, and I would come home and I had no motivation to do anything else. I had no time to do singing, nothing. The only time I really felt happy was when I went for coffee with my friends, or when I met up with my boyfriend, or I came home and I sang. These were the times I actually felt happy. When I was in school doing what they wanted us to do, I was not happy. And you could say that this is an easy way out, that quitting, but I saw myself here for 3 years of my life that I would have to spend on something that was just not for me. So if you feel like this, you may feel scared to step out of an environment like this, because it is something that is you're used to being in class and learning. But if you feel like it is putting you down and you have no motivation for anything else, you need to leave this environment. I'm now referring to college specifically because this is something that I just went through and I just experienced, but this could be for anything else. I've had the same thing with friendships. I've not experienced this in relationships because I've only had one relationship and it's been amazing. And so, but I've seen many situations where the relationship is bringing a person down. And also I've had cases where I wasn't necessarily dating the person, but I was seeing the person and they were a big reason as to why I was feeling so upset. And you really need to learn how to cut these people off. Because if a place, a person makes you feel less than, that is not the place or the person who you should be associated with. So I saw a quote the other day, actually on TikTok, that was talking about how if you died tomorrow, your boss would replace you by Monday. And this is so true. You cannot be giving energy to places, to people who do not give the same to you, who do not appreciate this. Why would you put so much effort into a job which you don't even like, or a job which is mistreating you? This is so important to your well-being. You're gonna be so much more happier if you start listening to yourself and start doing what you actually want to do. Of course, everyone thinks, oh, college is so difficult and everything. It is difficult, which is why you're putting your energy into it. But it is even more difficult to leave it. It's easy to say to somebody, you've taken the easy way out because you dropped out of college. But this is actually the most difficult part, because now I will have to deal with the social consequences of not going to school. So of course, my grandparents, for example, are so against this, and they do not understand why I would ever do such a thing, why I would make such a decision. Now, if you hang out with people and you are around people who have made the same decision, or in the process of it, or think the same, you will feel much more uplifted rather than people who judge you for it. this is again all connected to your environment and how it's influencing yourself. So hanging out with the right people. Obviously, as soon as I hang out with people who are interested in music and are musicians, whether they are studying music or not, I feel uplifted in my singing, and I enjoy it, and I become more motivated to become a singer and to sing, and to look for gigs. Whilst when I hang out with people who look perhaps down on doing music as a career and think that it's a waste of time, people like that, then of course I feel down and I feel not motivated. And this is such an easy example, and you might think this is logical, but that is how usually it goes. So if you hang out with businessmen and people who always think of good ideas, you will start to think like them and you will start to become motivated to start your own business. Whilst if you hang out with people who have no motivation, don't know what they're doing, but still force themselves to go study and do tests and, then you will start thinking like that as well. Like, maybe life is really that hard. Maybe I really do have to study something that I don't want to do, or maybe I really do have to work that job to get money in order to be happy. It really depends on your environment. And now, after saying how important it is and everything and trying to explain how you can change your environment, I do understand that this is something that is difficult, but you should really start by changing within yourself. So making changes that are going to implement you. So you have to start looking, perhaps writing down some things that make you happy, versus some things that make you feel not so happy in your day-to-day life, or writing down things that have happened today and how they made you feel. So for example, whether that is going to job, going to school, going to college, and meeting friends, meeting your family, and how those events made you feel. And if you look back on it and see how many times these things have made you feel bad and versus what makes you feel happy, you will start realizing what you have to add into your life and what you have to get rid of. So if you like to paint and you see that whenever you paint you are happy, versus when you meet a particular friend you always feel unconfident and insecure, you can start to see that you need to start painting more and hanging out with this friend less. So these two examples don't really go together, but I think the point is that I'm trying to make is clear. It's important to understand that people will judge you no matter what. It is in our nature, it is in society's natures to judge other people, because usually what happens is that when you are insecure about something yourself or you're unhappy about something yourself, you will look at others and judge them for what they're doing. So, for example, if you've been thinking about starting a podcast or started singing online and you're scared because you are afraid that people might judge you, that is a normal feeling. We all feel like that. I feel like that. But at the end of the day, they will judge you no matter what. People judge all the time. They will, if they think, oh, that is so embarrassing that they are posting, that is so embarrassing that they do this, that is so embarrassing that they do this. Why? You need to start thinking, why do they think that's embarrassing? That's because they would never have the guts to do it themselves. They will laugh at you or make fun of you or whatever until it becomes something. And that is just something that we sadly have to live with. The fact that this society portrays doing things that are not ordinary as weird. I face this almost daily when I have to explain to people that I dropped out of my college. They, most of them will give me a weird look, or will ask why, or what are you gonna do now? Or, it's not in society's nature to do something like this. Perhaps in other places of the world this is different, but I'm specifically talking about now. Here I live in Slovenia, and I feel as though this is a very common procedures from high school to go to college, and it's very weird if you do not do this. So even though I do not know where I'm gonna be in 2-3 years, right now I'm focusing on what makes me happy and what I want to do with my time. And that is where I'm at right now. If people cannot understand this, that is not my fault. Of course I try to explain why, I'm explaining now, but for many people this is so unusual that they will not be able to comprehend this. But yeah, and anyways, to kind of sum up what I was trying to say with how important your environment is that you should really start to think how you can live your best life. We live these 90 years that we have, and you really don't want to waste your time being unhappy. If there are things that are bringing you down, you should not be scared to start to change them. It is really scary, of course, but you will look back at it and be happy that you made a change like this. If it is because of status or money that you are worried about, money usually always follows no matter what you pursue in, but you do have to work. I'm not saying to quit and not do anything in life. Of course, I'm saying that you should really think about what you want to do and then focus on that. The same goes with friends. I'm not saying to just cut them all off and never socialize with people again, but to start slowly looking at who makes me feel better about myself, who feels the same way as I do, what do we have in common, and see how they make you feel. And you will start to then choose to hang out with those people rather than the other ones. Because just like money, friends also usually will always be there. It may take years to find some good friends. It may take only days, you really never know, but you need to start putting yourself out there in a way where it will benefit you. Creating important friendships that you can rely on. This is something that is very serious and will help you out in the future. Of course, we are humans. It is in our human nature to connect, to socialize. So it is actually probably more easier than you might think to find some friends. Anything that interests you, there is always people who will find the same interest. I can guarantee you that even though you may think I'm so unique and nobody else feels the same way, there is 8 billion people of us, and there's definitely somebody out there who feels the same way as you. So never be scared to do what you have to do in order to change your environment and to become more happy.